Confessions, Volume 3 by Chris Delsalvo. Let's review it, shall we? When I first received this book, which, by the way, thank you so much for the kindness and generosity. It was on my wish list. I just hadn't had a chance to get around to it. But now that I had a chance to read it, it's not what I thought it was going to be. The late hour and then this DJ-looking character, I thought it was going to be a horror book or a horror anthology, because the late hour kind of assumes it's that darkness. And there is that ghost story element to it, but it's a very, very, very minor part of this book. This book is coming of age. This book is about one's identity and how do you suppress your identity when you're trying to embrace it. And it goes on with his mother growing up, his father being out of the picture for a reason that you will find out, and then his mother being fanatically religious and oppressing him and his beliefs and his whole spirit to conform to her strict church-going and believing and her faith and her beliefs, without allowing her son the freedom to think for himself outside of what the church tells them. And just like in a lot of these charismatic religions in the real world today, sometimes the leaders aren't always the most honest, and a lot of times people fall into these traps by somebody who is so charismatic that you follow them. And they don't always lead you to the promised land. And finding your faith again is a struggle in itself. I relate to that. For a short time in my life, my parents attended a Pentecostal church, and we had to attend with them, where you were at church, 3 and 4 days a week. And while my parents were nowhere near as strict as the mothers in this book, I understood it. I related to it. His coming of age story, while I don't completely relate to it in many aspects, the fact that it was a Hispanic Latino home, the traditions, the way we ate, the way we behaved, the way you spoke, the way you behaved, it was so relatable. And a lot of this book, I truly, truly felt seen. And I've said that about another author that I really, really, really enjoy his writing. And I think Chris Delsalvo here has hit it on the head too. Latinos and Hispanics need to read this book. If you're a member of the LGBTQ community, especially a young man or a middle-aged man, and you have a coming out story to share, or you have shared, or you might be afraid to share with the world, you need to read this. There's a lot of inspiration behind his coming out story, and then some sadness and the suppression, and then the inevitable end of the story and how it deals with that as well. Music fans in the 90s and the early 2000s, so many references in here to music, so many things that just made me smile and laugh and remember. In particular, Vuela Vuela by Magneto kept coming up over and over and over again, and one of my favorite songs of all time. And so we were talking about that, and Caifanes, again, Mexi pop music, Mexi rock music we don't really hear a lot of in the mainstream radio coming to life here. A lot of that kind of grunge music there in the mid-90s, the early 2000s as well. So as a musician and as a music fan, that part really, really took me. And then the horror movies and the movies in general, the pop culture from 80s and 90s through here, that keeps you going. And it's a very sentimental story, heartbreaking. There's a little bit of spice, but nothing to be worried about. Maybe like a chili pepper in here with spice, but nothing to be overly dramatic about. It's part of the story, and it enhances the story, and it serves a point. Just a very relatable book. If I have one critique, and that's just me being OCD, I wish it had chapter stops and chapter subtitles, because I like to stop reading my book where I read a point where it's a new chapter beginning, or it's a new thought beginning, maybe a new date on there. That's the only critique that I really have, and that's just me being OCD whenever I read. I like these kind of things. And there was one line that really, really took me, and And he says, "How do you eat when all you're allowed to swallow is guilt?" And that line really resonated with me. Many, many other fine moments in this book, but that line right there, really, if you grew up in such a strict religious home, you understand what that means. If you grew up with very, very overprotective parents, you understand what that phrase means. And in today's world, it makes more sense now, I think, than ever before. So I give this 5 out of 5 enthusiastic stars. This is a perfect read if you want to read somebody's memoirs, because that's the way it's laid out. Someone is sharing their story with you. The highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, the inspiration, the soul-crushing, but yet the spirit to have the bravery to tell your story, no matter what it might be. And I think that's the most important lesson we can take from this is don't be afraid to share your story. Don't be afraid to tell the world who you are. Don't be afraid. There are more people out there who will love you and support you. Sometimes it's not family. For many people, it's not the case. I was blessed in that my family did and does and always will. But for those that might not have experienced that, just know there are plenty of people out there who love you, who will hear your story, who will care for you and take care of you. And we take that away from this book. There will always be somebody there for you. Share your story. My friends, share your story. Until next time, read a little and dream a lot. Lee un poco y sueña mucho.